The routine was solid and I was ready. And then it happened. So 4 months, 4 months of training, of brewing the same coffee over and over again, adjusting the recipe, working on my 10-minute script for the presentation, of learning what specialty coffee really means for me and working on it really seriously. I'm Laurin. I'm not a coffee professional. I'm not a barista. I'm not a cafe owner. I am a home brewer who started with a mocha pot and some supermarket coffee, and I kind of got the spark of curiosity what coffee can really taste like. So I started brewing and I signed up for the Austrian Brewers Cup. The Brewers Cup is a coffee competition where you have 10 minutes time to present your coffee with your style of manual brewing, and you will be judged by 3 judges writing on score sheets how your coffee tastes, how well you performed your presentation, and you as a competitor try to create a special experience for coffee for your guests, which are your judges. I prepared for 4 months and I documented everything. I trained on my consistency in pouring like an athlete, and now finally the competition week was here. 6 days before the competition, I worked out a training plan how to prepare the last days before the competition so I can go there in the best shape possible. Every day there was one to do. It was training on my open service script. There were some to-dos working on my recipe and to-dos where I just had to work on my compulsory skills. Last roast batch I got at the moment. 5 days out. I drove 1 hour to Berchtoldsdorf to Leon from El Café because he was helping me with the competition coffee. We still had to roast the second batch of the competition coffee. He already roasted one 2 days ago, but we had to roast another batch in case I make it to the finals. When I arrived there, we started training on the competition recipe. We worked out some variables. We worked on the water, we worked on the dosage and the grind settings of this coffee. And with Leon's help, we tried to evaluate in what recipe the coffee shows the most beautiful flavors. The most interesting part was the water testing, and it was also really eye-opening for Leon to taste this coffee with such different waters. I was brewing the water with a 0 water and then adding mineral drops to different cups, and we really learned a lot how this coffee behaves with different minerals. And one of the most important tasks was roasting the final competition coffee. So we roasted a batch of about 350 grams of this coffee. So I'm ready for the competition and I still have enough beans to prepare my recipe and make it perfect for the one competition day. That session, I would say, was one of the best in the whole preparation, and I learned so much during the training with Leon. 4 days before the competition, and this day was dedicated to compulsory training. On this day, I had a huge issue still to solve. It was about the grinder we have to use at this competition. It's the Casadio Hermes, and it produces a lot of fines and boulders, which is not perfect for filter coffee. This was something that really stressed me out because it is something that is kind of out of my control. I don't have the competition grinder to train, but I still have to find a solution how to work with a grinder that produces a lot of fines. For my own scoring, the compulsory round is the one with the biggest potential for growth for my points, because I knew this is my weakest spot, and if I can improve my compulsory skills, I will make it more likely to the finals. 3 days out of the competition, and I took a final look at my competition recipe. I brewed the coffee again. I tried to work on the flavor notes, and I also sifted this coffee to experiment how it behaves when sifting my competition coffee, because this is also something I considered for the competition stage. My coffee when brewing at home with the SSP multipurpose burrs was full of red fruits and very high clarity and very vibrant acidity. And I was testing the Casadio Hermes just once, and when I brewed my coffee there, the taste profile completely changed to dry fruits. It was a little bit more muddy, more body, more chocolatey notes, and this I wanted to prevent with sifting. And this is why I tried my workflow with sifting on 3 days before the competition. Everything felt right at this stage. I felt very confident with my presentation, with the 10 minutes where I knew every word of the presentation. And also my coffee was really, really good at this point. And I was very confident that with sifting and getting rid of the fines at the competition, that I will produce an outstanding cup on stage. The routine was solid and I was ready. And then it happened. My daughter, Runa, she got sick on Friday, so 7 days before the competition. She got sick with a stomach virus and I thought I can make it. I won't get sick because I'm taking a lot of care about my hygiene, washing my hands every 5 minutes, also washing the sheets and all the towels every day just to keep hygiene on a high level and not to get sick. I was even trying to prevent being too close to her. I was still there as a dad for her, but still I tried to keep my distance just not to get sick for competition day. I really tried. But then it's Tuesday, 2 days before the competition. I woke up and I already felt kinda funny. I felt that something is off. In this situation, you don't really panic. I kind of thought, I can make it. I can really make this work. Maybe it will pass. Maybe I won't get that sick and maybe I can still compete. But then the day went on and it developed into a situation. I either was lying on the sofa having stomach cramps or I was running to the bathroom because I couldn't keep any food or drinks inside my body. So by Tuesday evening, I already knew this could be a bad situation, but I still kept my positive attitude and I was sure if I rest and I take my time, I will make it to the competition stage. Then on Wednesday, 1 day before the competition, I was still sick and I was really sick. I was shivering and I felt like there was no energy left in my body. All I could do was sit on the sofa, eat porridge or soup, and that's it. I was not able to do anything else because everything was so exhausting and I was in pain. 4 months of preparation and there I was, lying on the sofa 1 day before the National Brewers Cup in Austria. So Wednesday passed and in the evening there was the competition briefing meeting online via Zoom. I met the other competitors there and the head judge and we were able to ask questions. I still took the chance, I asked my questions and I pretended that I will be on stage the next day. I kept my positive energy until the very last moment. But finally, there was a point where I had to make a decision and this was on Thursday in the morning, on the competition day. I was waiting until that moment to really make the decision if I can compete or not. But as soon as I woke up, I already felt that I'm still very sick and I cannot really leave the house. In the competition setting with 3 judges in front of you, you're brewing coffee for them, you're touching their glassware, the servers, also the coffee beans. You will be serving this coffee and also breathing on these persons because they're standing right in front of you. And I would be still contagious, although I might have been able to make it to the stage, but there is a huge chance that a lot of people would have gotten sick after the competition. So I made the decision for myself to respect my body, to give my body more rest, to recover and not to go to the competition, not to risk that anybody else gets this bad stomach virus, because I really don't wish anybody to feel like that, as I felt the last days. So in the morning of Thursday, I was writing an email to the SCA Austria and I had to declare that I'm not competing because I'm really not healthy. That I tried my best to get healthy as soon as possible, but I didn't make it. And this was the most devastating and frustrating and saddest moment of this whole 4-month preparation. My emotions switched from angry to sad to frustrated to devastated. And I couldn't even put all of my feelings into words at that moment. So although this was a very hard decision to make, I'm sure it was the right one because on the one hand, I wouldn't want to risk infecting the judges or other competitors, the organizers of this event, because they also put so much energy in there and they wouldn't want sick competitors on stage. And on the other hand, I also really had to respect my body, my health, and don't take any medication that might make everything worse. So this is why I felt it the most responsible decision not to compete on this day, although it really hurts. So I was still on the sofa on Thursday and I was watching on Instagram if anybody posts anything about the competition to see who will move further into the compulsory round, who will make it into round 2. And I was watching it from a distance. And at 1 p.m., this was the exact time when my time slot of my open service would have been. And this was, again, just a feeling of pain inside my chest that I can't be there, that I can't deliver my presentation that I prepared for so long. And I'm just, in the meantime, sitting here on the sofa and watching everything on Instagram. The next day is Friday, and the competitors moved on to round 2, to the compulsory round, and they delivered their coffees. I wasn't seeing much on this day online on social media, although I tried to watch everything. But most exciting was the announcement in the evening of the finalists. And there were 6 people making it to the finals. The names were Maria Struchenko, Junior Vargas, Igor Ilovic, Eline Ferket, Michael Manhard, and Sebastian Laschak. And then on Saturday, the finals day, it was the first day I was really feeling better, not so sick anymore, and I was even able to go outside and go for a walk. I was also posting my situation online on my Yellow Brews Instagram channel. I updated the community because they were watching my preparation for so long. I wanted to share everything about my competition. So I also placed an update into my story that I'm not competing. And then something really incredible happened. I got hundreds of direct messages from my followers, from my community, from the people who were watching my preparation. And the words I received were so heartwarming and touching. One person even made a reel on Instagram about my situation and mentioned about the repetitions that I put in and how frustrating that was. But still, I kept showing up. I still made my content. I still have my daily brewing streak on Instagram of over 230 brews at this moment. So I kept posting and people felt inspired by that, and they sent me so many nice messages. And I was so grateful that they were there for me in this situation that was really not easy. I noticed that sharing my content in public, sharing my learnings and my failures really build a connection here, and I'm very grateful for that. And that's actually what Yellow Brews is about. It's not just about coffee, it's about the people who care about it, and it's about connection. But now at this point, at this video, I also want to share with you what I learned in my 4 months of preparation, and also what I didn't learn because I couldn't compete. I learned how to build a routine, how to show up every day and work on something that is really important to you. Although sometimes it really feels like homework and just doing your tasks to get better and to improve. But I learned how the discipline and the repetitions that you put in there, how important they are for your progress, for getting better, and for being ready for the competition stage. I also learned memorization as a skill because I had to memorize the full 10-minute routine and a lot of repetitions, and learning everything page by page of this full script was really helping me also train my brain to memorize all of these things, and it kind of worked. I also really improved my sensory skills, and that coffee is also a kind of language that you have to learn. What words describe what flavors. And although we use fruits as flavor descriptors, or for acidity and sweetness, although we're using it that way, you still have to make the connections yourself. What kind of coffee really tastes like what fruits, and how can you make these connections happen that when you taste the coffee, you can tell the person how exactly does it taste. And this was such an interesting learning over the past 4 months, really understanding my coffee, learning the sensory of this coffee, how it behaves when cooling, how it behaves when it's brewed differently. This was a huge learning for me in this preparation. I also learned that I have some strengths and some weaknesses, and one of my strengths definitely is the presentation. I'm very good at talking and brewing and getting this whole concept into one framework. So I think I really mastered that in this year. I can still improve, but I think this was really good already. But what I really have to improve for next year are my compulsory skills. How to brew a mystery coffee that I don't know to the highest possible level, and also be flexible with the variables and brewers that I'm using for compulsory. And also having another person guiding you, like a coach or a supporter who has everything that you do on the radar, is so important, because it was so hard to get my own checklists and to organize everything. But there is also one thing that I didn't learn, And this is stepping on stage, how it feels to be there on stage, under pressure, brewing the coffees, how it feels when the judges start writing while you speak on the score sheets, how that feels, and how it really is when you're there at the competition. And I'm really looking forward to this stage experience, to making my own mistakes on stage, and to feeling this pressure in front of the judges. So the stage will still be there in 2027, and I'm not done with this yet. So what comes next? The next Brewers Cup will be in 2027, and until then, I really want to work on my compulsory skills, to work on the skills how I'm brewing coffees and how I can find forgiving recipes for coffees. So for next year, I want to go into the compulsory round way more prepared. I want to be really confident that I can brew tasty cups with different recipes on the competition day. I also want to have a proper competition checklist for next year and also support with setting up from some other person. So I am already building a team for the next year. So I have some support of people helping me with cleaning all the stuff, carrying the stuff. So I'm not alone at the competition stage. And also I want to focus next year on finding a complex coffee that really fits also my personal preferences. I will rethink a lot of the things that I did this year and make it the best competition I can in 2027. So this channel, Yellow Brews, is all about specialty coffee, about practice, about learning, about getting better, showing what I learn on the way, and also the failures on the way like this one. So thank you for being here, to supporting me on my journey to becoming a better brewer, to being with me also in the hard times. All those messages from you guys were really, really appreciated. And now I really want to know, where are you at your coffee journey? Are you also competing? Are you just learning something new? Please let it down in the comments below. I would really love to read about your journey and what you are learning. And now don't forget to subscribe, and see you guys in the next videos.